Room silent. Cool. Hi everybody.
Hi.
I feel like a game show host or something. Is everyone warm enough?
Yep.
Yeah? Because we haven't got this heater on. The heating's been on all day, so it felt kind of warm in here, but I don't know. So, are we ready to go, Kev?
Yep, all going.
Cool. Okay. So, we have 15 readers. So, we do have to limit the time, sorry guys, to 4 minutes. At 3.5 minutes, you're going to get one warning ding. At 4 minutes, it's going to go again. If you go too much over 4 minutes, Les is going to come up and beat you up.
Let him try.
So, yes, so please try and, so one way to keep your time down is not to tell us all this backstory about your story, if you're reading a decent excerpt. So, my name's Blaise, but I think I've met everybody. We have Kev up on the camera, up the back. He was on the door as well. We have Les, who's being our timekeeper tonight. He's up the back there. Who else have we got? We've got Belle, one of our interns. We have Lisa. We have Bo. We've got a few Busybird-ites here tonight. So welcome everyone. We're always, when it's cold like this, we think, who's going to be stupid enough to come out on a night like tonight? So it's really cool that everyone comes out. I think it's kind of a fun night, isn't it? Don't want to miss it. So, you're going to put your name down on the list, but doesn't mean it's going to be in that order. I kind of mix it up as we go, depending on whether it's poetry or prose or song or stand-up comedy or whatever it might be. Kev is recording everyone's readings. If you don't want to be on YouTube, please let him know. If you want to look at yourself on YouTube next week, we will tell everyone on Facebook when it's up. So we do every month put it up on YouTube. It's a really good way to improve your reading and your writing by looking back over it and seeing how you go. So we are going to start with Richard Trember tonight. We have a backing track. Don't kill yourself on the way up, please. So Richard is going to read. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing with it.
Well, I've got a DJ up the back.
Cool, go for it.
I just thought just for something different, instead of reading deep and meaningful poetry, I've got a record here that was published as lyrics, poem, whatever you call it, in book form some time ago. It's called Farlap. It was written to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Farlap winning the Melbourne Cup. He won in 1930. It was released in 1980. Got a fair bit of airplay on the radio, etc., etc. For those of you who were here last Melbourne Cup time, I read it as poetry, presumably. At that time, I don't think Melissa's here. She liked it. I don't know whether anyone else did, but she liked it. But anyway, tonight I've brought the record along, and I've got the DJ up the back, all ready to go, and away we go with Farlap. I think.
This is a record. You don't remember that?
Through this early morning, they go striding round the track. Nostrils wet and flanks of bone, and chestnut brown and black. One among them stands out, a big full-striding horse, whose name became a household word and changed our history's course. Farlap means lightning, he won the Velvet Cup way back in 1930. cricket was near, and journeys one and all. That fire, and terror, the greatest of them all. While these lightning, he won the Golden Cup. Way back in 1930, she played the rookie up. The cricket was
As I said to Blaise, I know all the words to that song. Just to clarify a couple of little things, I can't sing, it's not me. That's a guy named Rudy Brandsma who did the music. I just did the lyrics. Rudy had his own band, a band called Shady Deal, and he had his own recording studio, and we completed that record just before the Melbourne Cup in 1980. He finished the master tapes on the Tuesday, and he died on the Thursday at age 38. That was the end of my collaborative career. So, which is a very sad story, but that's what happened. And, Rudy had a great deal of talent. As I said, I wrote the words, and he wrote the music, and he sang the song. And don't ask me to sing.
Thanks for that. It's a nice musical intro to the night. So, Lydia is going to read a short continuation of Seed from Stony Ground. Yes.
Hello everyone. If that will stay still. So yes, this is a continuation of Seed from Stony Ground, the piece I've been reading in for Cousin. He's an ex-priest, that I think everything else is pretty much self-explanatory, so jump right in, I guess. Father Oliver hadn't visited Gavin again, but as the days passed, it seemed that something of the priest lingered in the house after that one encounter. Gavin felt it trailing in his wake like a newly acquired conscience, the rigid gait of Father Oliver standing watch over the stray sheep. Ridiculous, of course, until he remembered that it was now Sunday morning and only an hour until service started. A new conscience indeed. Ghost Oliver would be shadowing him until he stood before the real deal, the Chamberlain of God's house, breaking bread and welcoming his guests. He'd have to start his morning routine right away to be there on time. Instead, he turned the TV on and settled in. Nothing to watch, only colour and false toothy grins from some morning show. Not enough. His mind was already winding through the typical service. He'd taken that one unfortunate second to picture himself back in the church. And there he was, back on the podium, in place of Oliver. Even in his later years, still a tad nervous in front of so many people. He'd riff some little anecdotes and statements where he could, trying to spice things up in between drifting through the standard notes, knowing all the liturgies off by heart. Even at the height of his devotion, he found some of the rote passages silly, even vacuous, but he did them anyway because they were comfortable, they were tradition. They were just words, echoed in vast halls all over the world, given weight by the multitude. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us. It's nonsense, he thought, every time that line came back to him after the priesthood was behind him. The Lord merely lodges our sins, records them in his cosmic ledger, and the sin always remains. In that context, isn't mercy irrelevant? Gavin's decay had been slow at first. The usual doubts, as he observed the world that often seemed on the brink of chaos. He already knew loss. The distant turmoil of the world at large was something he could process and endure. He could fall back on the wisdom of religion to see him through those doubts without becoming a zealot. He prided himself on being a pragmatic priest, the word of God delivered from a modern human, servicing both the old guard of adherents looking for their familiar comfort and the new generation savagely proud of their agnosticism. Except he kept sliding back into those droning liturgies. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us. Damn echo. Every time these lines repeated in his head now, it was like a mockery. He tried so hard not to be bitter. He'd already lost a wife and found a new purpose to plug the vacuum she'd left behind. And then, so long after that, and still far too close to this moment of him in his well-worn armchair, he'd prayed to God when his daughter followed suit. and there was no venom in him when he said his recited prayers, his beautiful nonsense in the dark of his ruptured household. It felt like his soul was bleeding out of his eyes, and still he praised God. And yet that was only the start of his spoiling. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, grant us peace. The phone rang. The house phone. Surely it couldn't be Dennis again. He never called in the mornings. Gavin followed the ringing into the kitchen, picked up the handset. He waited for the halting title Dennis would never let go of, Father. But it didn't come. Only Gavin, and it wasn't from Dennis. Father Oliver, Gavin said stiffly. Shouldn't you be getting ready for the service? I had a feeling you'd still be at home, said Oliver. Maybe next week then. Maybe next week.
You knew I was going to say your name, didn't you? Belle. That's a poem-ish.
There's one that's like, I'm not so sure. I have two poems, but I don't know if I have time to read the second one. Let's see. There the wolf saw her, covered in sweat and blood and mud, his big mouth grinning at the lady rabbit sitting by the rock. Paws etching to move closer, revealing his snarling lips, waiting for the rabbit to catch her breath. There was something about her that has made the wolf watch privately at her stillness, wanting to lure the rabbit within his grasp. The wolf treads on, listening to the repetitious thud of his heart beating for the lady rabbit. Her ears twitch at the rustling glass, and her little nose perks up. She is curious and proud before making her way towards him. Perplexed, the wolf becomes, replacing his snarl with a frown. Could this rabbit be unafraid of death? Poking her head out from the grass, eyes glimmering bright, she smiles, when seeing only the wolf's face, before raising her voluptuous lips at him. Paws compelled to move closer, the wolf's inner kill became lost within the rabbit's blue eyes. Too provoked by her confidence, the wolf soaked in defeat. And he had let her hop away, secretly wishing that the rabbit would turn back. She knew a smile was all it took to save her life from the big bad wolf. But the rabbit knew she would see him soon. I am many things, things that can change and pretend to be something different. I am real and I am fake. I can come in two sides with two faces. I have memories, I have flexibility. I am dangerous and unpredictable. I am the same. I am many things, things that can change and grow into another. I am good, I am healthy. I have two faces with two minds. I can be angelic, I can be truthful. I am the better self to you. I am a connected conscious. I am the same as you.
Thanks, Belle. Is this echoey tonight, Kev?
Haven't changed it.
Haven't changed it? Lisa, oh, hiding up back. Lisa is going to read a short story called The Nightmare.
It's happening again. I drop into existence, and as if I'm a controlled video game character, I land running. The river, reflecting city lights in the dark, is to my left and out of sight, though not out of scent due to rotting debris. I dart through the labyrinth of abandoned warehouses and shipping containers. It's a long time, too long, until I reach the right location, a small warehouse, identical to any other. A nondescript gunmetal door faces me. Its smooth surface explains nothing, and the round handle is ice in my hand as I turn it and find it's unlocked. I'm beyond thinking that it's odd to have an unlocked door within the docks in the middle of the night. All these months within this recurring nightmare, and I'm no closer to solving this puzzle than when I was at the start. I push the door open. The iron stench hits my face, sweeping into my skin, my clothes, never fading, buried into my mind. Knowing this comes when I open the door means I no longer bother to shield myself. Warm blood flows over my runners and stains them crimson. I take in the familiar sight of lifeless bodies, which I can only see by the sliver of moonlight through the grimy windows high above. My parents, siblings, and friends soak in fresh dark puddles. No obvious wounds but eyes open, seeing nothing. And as always, I'm slightly too late to save them all. I glance down and tears begin to trickle in my eyes at the sight of my sister within the ranks of the dead. It is a cruel sight to see, but no longer shocking, and those tears no longer fall after so many nights of this vision. I kneel, allowing the sticky red fluid to ooze through my jeans, and reach out to close her eyelids. My eyes dance around the bodies, a quick take of who's here and who's not. I love him, yet he's not here. The faint splash of gentle footsteps creeps behind me. The killer has arrived, but I feel no fear. His fingers are familiar as they close around my shoulder. During the day I lean into these normally warm fingers, but in the night they bring nothing but cold. His voice is seductive, gentle, and reassuring. My dream self struggles to solve what my waking self doesn't understand. I'm sorry. He's always been here, just not where I expected him to be. And he's sorry. It's a little too late for sorry. The burn of frustration sweeps from reality to dream time. I don't want sorry, I want why. But as I open my lips to breathe words, his fingers creep across to guard my mouth. He won't allow me to confront him, so I use only my powers. I wake up as dawn cracks through the curtains. It's time for another day of facing him, his smile, and of my wanting and not wanting to be alone with him. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Joan. A Matter of Opinion and The Old Railway Engine.
It's a bit of a cop-out calling something a matter of opinion, isn't it? A point of view, actually. I wrote the wrong name down. Poems are best when read aloud, in solitude or to a crowd, each one a canvas of colour and life. Words are the brushstrokes, compact and concise. Spinning words are like silkworms, spinning your dreams. Words are like glowworms, enlightening the scenes. Words consume, excite or amuse, joyous or tragic. On the canvas of poesy, words can be magic. I don't know whether, sorry about this preliminary, but I don't know whether
You really had to.
whether you remember, and I'm not sure whether it's still there was an old steam engine in a park in Greensboro. Anybody remember it? Is it still there?
No, I remember that.
So, I used to take some of my grandchildren.
Those bollards there.
The old steam engine. In jet black majesty she stands, against green freshness of the open park, silent. Still, yet deep within, her memories cling. Children with dogs, frolicsome, reckless, giggle and bark, climb steep steel steps, and sit astride the cabin of old, hard and cold. Try as they will, their minds cannot stretch to bygone days of lightning speed along the track, days of black, gritty soil and belching steam have long since gone, are but a dream. Not but a dream, but a dream. Sweating firemen once slaved, stoked and fed the hungry flames. The fierce roar, the rhythmic breath escapes no more. The clickety-clack, rackety-rack, the whistle, the signal, the shiny bright track are vanished, except when created in fond fathers' minds, as their children pretend what to them was once real, this ballad in still.
Thanks, Joan. Len Varney. Len was meant to have his next poetry book this week, but the printer had a breakdown, so we have to wait another week or so. But we look forward to it next month.
Excuse me. I have two poems tonight. The first one is called Drought, and it's really about drought. Well, it is about drought, but it's about the drought and the human condition. Drought. I have been within this room a long, long time, but now I open the door. A dry wind stills. There is no motion in my play. Stark finger trees lean entwined. Gaunt ghost grey extremities entangled. Red-black dust between clawing roots. Sun-seared bone whiteness filled with unseen eyes shimmers on vision's edge, and only skeleton shapes fill a void I cannot see. Then, tracks of the long dead confront me, with not even the breath of their passing felt. Is this, now, the land of my fathers? Dust, black, red, thin lines on ancient rock, shattered, scattered. There can be no dreaming in this land. I turn back into the room and close the door. Eyes flicker, flicker, threads unravelling. I sense the theft of my life essence, undone, flicker. Tapestry. Tapestry holding age-faded images of a yesterday almost forgotten. Tapestry muffling footsteps almost echoed, diminished by this empty space. Tapestry concealing light and sound, almost dreams once within my smile. This congregation of time-worn threads warped, hidden in the now perverted weft, bereft of all I need. Tapestry. The room stills. Shards of light splinter, fragment, until burning whiteness seals my eyes. And I am cold, so cold. Frozen dreams. Isolation. drought. And then a tear falls. That was actually about the breaking of my drought. It was the first poem I wrote in quite some time. Since then I've been writing, so the drought is broken. Second one is called Love Renewed. I planted a tree this day in the wind-blown, dry, dusted wasteland you left behind. Once young, once strong, once proud, once joy-filled, the tree I planted had lived within my blighted years, enduring the unrequited suffering that plundered the delicate bloom of all its dreams. It became landscape etched, gnarled and twisted. This day, in the solitude that so long surrounded, I planted my tree above you, filled with certainty its aged roots will find you and be nurtured and be nourished and be renewed. I prayed for the grace your beauty bestows, knowing your strength will feed my branches, sending them soaring into the zenith of our forever.
Okay, we've met one. And this one is called How I Got to Glasgow.
This is a continuation of contracts and things. I went to Amsterdam and finished Panto, and here I am back in London. It had been a long Panto season, and in London, few if any summer season contracts were available. Nothing was advertised on the stage, but an unimaginable, unexpected twist of events took place. People were always coming and going in the wardrobe. One day, a charming young man who had rented my old attic flat came in to talk to Joni. Seeing me, he casually asked, "Hello, where are you from?" "I've just finished a panto in Scotland. I'm a dancer," I replied. "Ah, show business," he declared and boasted. "I'm the boyfriend of the choreographer George Carden." "What?" I exploded. "I worked for him in Amsterdam last year and couldn't return because I was sick. I saw him last night and he told me 2 girls had pulled out of a show he'd be doing in Glasgow. He's looking for someone." "Tell him about me," I implored him. "He's waiting in his car for me. Do you want to come and see him?" I had no makeup on. "Oh no, but tell him I'm looking for work." The following morning he returned and sought me out. "Here's George's telephone number. He wants you to phone him at 2:30 this afternoon." I couldn't contain my excitement and on the dot phoned. He wasn't there. I started phoning him every 5 minutes and Joni became angry. "Stop it, Pamela. He'll be here soon. You're disrupting the wardrobe." Half an hour later he replied, "Come to my apartment tomorrow afternoon," and gave me his address in Knightsbridge. Nervous, I arrived at a modern building and entered the foyer. Entering the foyer, the doors automatically opened. I'd never seen this phenomenon before. As Mr. Carden appeared, I was taken aback how plain his apartment was. Grey and bare, no pictures on the walls, with a large round table in the centre. There was a large imposing cardboard box on it, with several papers scattered around. George greeted me and wasted no time. "Where have you been working?" I told him and he was impressed. I'd worn a long jersey woolen dress, not expected to dance. "Lift up your dress and turn around slowly." Surprised, I did so, clutching his skirt to my waist, turning like a fairy in a musical box as he examined my legs. "Come and sign your contract." My face glowed with happiness as he showed me the door. "And don't forget costumes fittings at Alex Shank's." I signed a contract which included an extra £3 a week for danger money to appear in the fabulous 8:05 summer season in Glasgow, Scotland at the Amphitheatre. It would be the most spectacular show I had ever danced in, and surpass the West End shows for glamour and spectacle. Dick Hurren, the producer and presario for Howard and Wyndham, travelled the world shopping for show-stopping items and unique artists, creating magnificent extravaganza shows each year.
Thanks, Camilla. Okay. Duan is going to read a short story called My Silent Day.
Hello, everybody. If you listen to ABC Radio, you may have heard this story last year as part of the Pocket Dog series. It's a true story, and it's my story, and it's called My Silent Day. Every year on Australia Day, I pick blueberries in Victoria's alpine country. It's January, and it is threatened to be hot today. So I leave the campsite at 6 o'clock in the morning. The blueberry farm is empty, except for the birds feasting on ripe berries low down near the ground. Ready for the task, I have an old coffee bag to sit on and 3 buckets. I want to pick 10 kilograms of berries for my catering business, and I want to do it in 3 hours. The dawn air feels cool and fresh. The birds are squawking, making a racket. I check the rows, inspecting where I can be most efficient. I settle on a row furthest from the entrance, hoping for no human contact. I sit on my coffee bag and start. After an hour, I fill 1 bucket and ready to start on my second. Here come the children. One girl yells out to her mother, "There's a lady here, picking berries off the ground." At that instant, I decide to take a silent day by not speaking. If you don't speak, you don't hear. The children walk by me inquisitively. I smile at each one, but offer no words. Then they speak among themselves. "She's really fast. Do you think she's poor? She sits at the same spot for so long." Where I am, the branches are heavy, drooping with plump, juicy berries, making it easy to fill my second bucket. The children come back with their mother. "Mom, look at her. She's got so many berries." Mom says, "She's from China, probably working picking berries for 50 cents a bucket. That's why she has to be fast." Soon another group arrives. When a man with 2 boys come to my row, he says, "We won't pick here. There wouldn't be anything left." I look up, nod to acknowledge him, and carry on. My third bucket is almost full. I can feel the heat of the sun. Flies are buzzing, and I hurry to fill my last bucket. As I move up the row, the man and the boys come over to look. He seems annoyed, and he says, "I bet she isn't going to pay. No way can she afford all those berries. She has no idea how much she's picked and how much it costs. She's just going to steal them." I stop picking for a couple of seconds and take a deep breath. With my third bucket, I head to the shed with a scale. The Honestly Money box is built into the bench. My berries are just under 10 kilograms. The sign says $10 a kilo. I have exactly the right amount of money. As I turn around, the man stands there offering me a $50 note and motion me to hand over the berries. Deliberately, I reach into my back pocket, pull out a $100 note, fold it lengthwise, hold it up to his face, and put it in the slot. I looked at him squarely, and with my berries, I head to my car. In the privacy of my car, I weep.
I bet they were good berries. Thank you. Where's your poem? Oh, no excuse. Gay is going to do some poetry and comedy. Cool.
We hope it's comedy. Who knows? Lovely and warm in here, but wasn't it freezing this morning? I can't stand this cold, and I leave for work at about 8:30. It's freezing. And the trouble is you have to wear so many layers that when I go to the toilet, it takes me half an hour to tuck everything back in again. And I'm still cold. And with my Parkinson's tremor and shivering from the cold, it's like this, and I think I can generate a whole fridge with power sometimes. But winter is all about those extra bits you have to carry, isn't it? You have to carry scarves, gloves, beanies, raincoats, umbrellas. And talking about umbrellas, I have a very bad relationship with umbrellas. I think those who were here at the last one heard about how my umbrella got caught in a man's fly. I have a bit of a history. I had a lovely yellow umbrella that I kept because of its colour, but it had a mind of its own and it kept opening at any time of the day for no reason. Like people get a bit strange when they find an umbrella poked in their ear in the tram. You know, it was one of those things. And one day it opened between two seats, and it took this man and I 2 tram stops to manage to pull it out of the upholstery. But anyway, once we got it out, we were all right. We thought we were Christmas because we didn't tear the upholstery. Another time I was coming back from lunch, and I worked at ICI, and we used to all go down to the city because it's just out of the city a bit on the tram, and rush back. We're always running late. And this day I was rushing through Myers, making a shortcut through Myers, and they used to have these big stands about this big where they piled up goods in them. And I had to go like this all the way down the corridor to avoid people and that. And I heard shouting behind me. And I didn't take very much notice at first until somebody caught up with me, and I'd hooked all these cardigans with the back of my umbrella that was tucked under my arm and was dragging them through the store. So umbrellas and I don't have a very good relationship really, but that was a wonderful place when I worked at ICI. They were very obliging and let you have time off for all sorts of things. I had time off for doing acting, which was really great. And one job was in Flinders Lane in the lunch hour. And when you do acting, they have these great big trucks for changing your clothes in and eating your meals and everything else. And at the very back of the truck was 4 steps up, and there was a toilet in there. Well, I had to go to the toilet. And I get up into the toilet and close the door, and then the door opened. It wasn't closed properly. It swung open, and here I was in front of everybody in Flinders Lane at lunchtime. And the other boss that I had, the next boss I had, was really a very sweet, kind fellow. And he put up with some incredible things that I did in the office. I remember one day going into him because he called me and he wanted me to explain something in a letter. And I leaned over the table to have a look at the letter, and one boob popped straight into his coffee cup full of hot coffee. And it wasn't very pleasant, and I had a very brown bosom. And I don't think I've got time to read my poem, but I'll just read a couple of verses. It's called The Accident. I had a little car accident this afternoon. It appears I've injured my chin. I'm waiting in the doctor's room. My neighbour brought me in. There was a bingle in our drive. What happened? Where do I begin? It appears that as I was backing out, my husband was driving in. He's already in with the nurse, something about injuring his neck. He wasn't that pleased to see me, and the nurse took him away pretty quick. He hasn't asked after me at all, but he's given his smash repairman a call. He's probably frightfully worried about me. He'll be really concerned, you wait and see. But it is unusual to see him so red in the face. I told him it's only a car and he said I was a real case. Whatever that means, I haven't a clue. But a new fence and some panel beating sure is triggering a big hullabaloo. Thank you.
A prose from your diary. Is that right?
I can start from there. I would like to tell Joan that this year's $20,000 my given prize, art prize for painting, has got a thing called the written word. So it refers to a poem. And I got an idea because I was lucky to be invited, and you gave me an idea. Thank you. This is in the back here. Everyone has a story to tell. Mine is not just my life story, but it's a story of what has happened all around me, the islands where I was born, the luck that I've had in guiding, visiting the world, meeting millions of people literally, and being with you tonight. You know, it's great. And so this is the third draft, but things keep changing because I keep finding new events that I didn't even know that I'd been part of. So it starts, this is still in a draft form because then I will start embellishing. I use this as I do with a painting, you know, so that I have the outlines and then I work at different colours that change and it'll be the same eventually if I'll ever finish it. But anyway, so it's life in the Aeolian Islands. I was born in a small village of Malta when its population was approximately 1,000 in the island of Salina, one of the 7 pearls of the Aeolian archipelago, on the 8th of November 1940. As I was to be stillborn, but as fate would want it, very much alive, I was baptized on the same day that I saw daylight. But I was not officially registered at the council offices until the 18th of November. So, from that day on, my official date of birth is the 18th of November. Well, my parents were Vincenzo D'Amico and Maria Micali. I was the last of 5 siblings, following Antonio, Vincenzo, Maria and Nicolino. Only my brother Nick is alive, the others have gone, unfortunately. A few months after I was born, for the second time in his life, my father was called to serve as a building engineer in the Second World War. And I did not meet him until April 1946, when he eventually escaped from the very harsh English prison war camp at St. Andrews in Taranto, in Italy. The war had finished by 12 months already. Infamously known as Camp S, not to be confused with the Canadian Camp X. So soon after my birth, my mother, Antonia Maria Nicolini, and I moved to Sicily. In fact, the birthplace of my father, and where we had a house, and many of my father's relatives. It was felt all round that this was a safe place and also convenient, as he, my brother Vincenzo, was studying for the priesthood. His seminary was not even a kilometre away from where we lived, but the family and relatives could only see him twice a month. They were that strict then, and the windows of the building had very solid steel bar. In spite of the war, we were living relatively comfortable, as we were able to obtain food and other necessities through our relatives. I was very sick, and my fontanelle would not close, as I was continuously in severe pain. My cousins Rosa and Maria would disinfect the open wound every day. Eventually, one day, Rosa came home with a white powder in the chemist where she was working at prepared. We did not know, and we never did, what it contained. But after 4 months of treatment, my head was healed, and I'm forever indebted to my 2 cousins. As I write, Maria passed away 12 months ago. Rosa is very much alive at 95 and on top of her faculties. Apparently my father had been informed of my illness at war, but he was failed as being so far away in the middle of a war in Africa. And like Kevin was not at the door, he was sitting at the desk. Tonight, when you said that Kevin was at the desk.
He was our doorman anyway. Jenny. This is Jenny F. I don't know what her surname is. Jenny is going to read a poem called Guard Dog's Secret. We have a guard dog here, but he just licks you to death. He's at home because he chews everything.
Hi everyone. Hi. The guard dog's secret. Parked by the shop, a tradie's ute. Bull bar, twin cab, roof rack, tray back, built-in toolboxes on either side. The epitome of can-do and ready now. In between, and looking out, a huge, contented dog. I approached. He watched, eye to eye. His tail did not move. He kept his head in a steady profile. He accepted my admiration, but I understood permission had been granted for me to ruffle the emperor's hair. There, behind, between the boxes, curved over boots and stuff, a thick bed and a grubby teddy bear with long ears.
Thanks, Jenny. Nice to see there's a few new faces here tonight, and welcome.
Thank you.
Linda Carter, is going to read a piece called Slow Nature Stroll.
This piece came about after travelling in Tasmania, visiting a beach, and it was published under a longer title, Slowing Down to Take in the Natural Beauty. Sometimes we are too ready to walk briskly for exercise or drive swiftly to reach the next destination. As a traveller on Tasmania's east coast during autumn, I have time to wait till the subtlety of different scenes settles in my soul. So I step slowly along an overgrown track leading to the beach. Tannin-stained trickles from freshwater creeks and brackish lagoons create sand-swirled gullies to greet incoming surf. I turn skyward, eyes drawn to a mystical pastel grey palette. Late afternoon light gleams on mirror-flat water, hemmed in by dunes, a luminescent sheen reflecting puffed and patterned clouds. Elongated wave formations curl, break, then flatten into lacy bubbles, retreating reluctantly. A large gull stands sentinel on mountains of tumbled brown kelp, slippery ribbons thrown up by several stormy days and wind-swept nights. I breathe in near details and distant sights, the soothingly repetitive marine sounds, the tangy fragrance of a lagoon landscape beside the sea. My feet sink in damp sand and erase intricate ripples that will return next tide with infinitely minute variations. I prefer to observe slowly, look closely, and reflect quietly. Initial impressions are overlaid and enriched by reading materials, radio broadcasts, journal writing, online research, chance conversations. A serendipitous link might occur days, weeks, months later in an entirely unrelated environment, and my mind's gaze will expand. Photographs cannot capture personal reactions to nature's wild and rugged power, or quiet and tranquil beauty, but there's a satisfying sense of creative fulfillment. I reach for the macro switch to focus on frilled lichen and delicate green moss, the intricate wing markings of a resting moth, a pool of fairy water on a concave cap with rusty brown fungi. Such impulsive recording habits are not compatible with a group of fast hikers, best nurtured on solo strolls or whilst walking with similarly inclined companions. As I contemplate two beautiful stretches of water, each different in appearance, form and function, I reflect on the aftermath of heavy rain from Tasmania's northern hilltops to eastern beaches. Stormy gales, rivers overrunning embankments, localised flooding, road closures, slippages, and mourn the destructive power of nature unleashed worldwide. Cyclones, floods, earthquakes, tsunamis. Each moment in time is just that, one moment to be appreciated and remembered. Here I observe water that displays differing elements along its primal spectrum. Uncontrollable breakers powerful enough to destroy lives and property, and shimmering sandy shallows peaceful enough for young children to revel in, creating miniature walls, diverting rivulets. I appreciate deeply such vignettes of serene contemplation, and acknowledge sadly those less fortunate suffering devastating consequences from natural catastrophes. I continue the slow nature stroll, stepping lightly with clear-sighted, mindful respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Okay. F68.
Oh, that's right.
Well done.
Because I have had a trip to Nepal and it was one of the most wonderful journeys I've been on.
You have to all those photos, so he'll sign it for you. Well done.
Thank you.
Cool, okay.
My apologies.
This is Charles.
Charles, good evening. So as Greg's progressing along his trek, he's reflecting upon some of his experiences back home. And one of those is his Thursday nights at the Man Cave. Greg wasn't sure the first time Hilly invited him along, as it didn't really seem like his sort of place or type of company. From what Hilly had described, there were a few older guys who were regulars, and some of them were so old that when they farted, well, dust would come out. The notion of standing around with a bunch of old codgers didn't seem that appealing to Greg, as visions of a pipe and slippers brigade soon sprang to mind, as most likely he thought they'd be winding the evening up by 7:30 so that they could all get home in time for bed. In addition, he had images, for some strange reason, of a bunch of pompous old farts standing around that spoke in heavy British accents, all the while attired in their finest evening coats with cups of Earl Grey tea in their hands and biggies at the ready for dunking.
Oh, jolly good Rogerian old chap. Absolutely splendid. Ah, the pleasure's all mine, old boy. Nothing like a good bit of buggery, is there? Never hurt anyone.
Greg envisioned them proclaiming as they would suck back on their pipes. However, it wasn't like that at all, and he instantly found right at home from the get-go. It turned out that these were actually really cool guys who knew half of Melbourne, and the other half that they didn't probably weren't worth knowing anyway. Upon reflection, he felt silly at first for being reluctant to go to the shed, as it soon become known. When he thought more about it, he lost count of times when he really dreaded going to a social gathering, party or the like, because he thought things were going to be crap, when most often they'd turn out to be great, and he'd end up really enjoying himself and having a good time. He would especially never forget when the first time he went to the fridge to help himself to a beer. For a fixed thought was a poem called Man Cave. Greg could vividly recall it. A few years ago I met some jokers. I was never into pool or playing poker. Car guys they were through and through, a bomb that will bind like the strongest glue. We were doing sprints with the Alpha Club, just regular guys like you meet at the pub, but we were having a crack or having a ball, ducking and weaving and trying to keep it off the wall. No fancy stuff or big dollar bangers, $1,000 shitters, just beat up old clangers. We do all of the tracks and we do them once more. Wintered, Sandown, Calder and the island for sure. Turns out one of them had a man cave, and from that a tradition was made. Each Thursday we'd meet for a drink to catch up, recount past glories and think, hallelujah, my sanity's saved, now that I've found my man cave. Yeah, it's paradise all right, every Thursday night. There's always And plenty of air-cooled stuff, some a bit great and some a bit rough. Just bring what you bought, hey, whatever you're right, but if it runs on rice, just park it outside. It's always good fun. There's never a puncher. Plenty of I had you on that corner, and no you didn't, I had a puncher. Hey, it'll keep you from topping yourself. A place to talk, kick back, and let a lot of shit out. Damo, Nick and John will make the scene, and Mr. D too with his bag of green. And how quickly the time will fly by. Before you know it's the end of the night. Time to bid each other farewell once more, then it's down with the roller shutter door. And I hope when the roller comes down for the last time, that my friends I'll greet on the other side, and we'll pick up where we left off before, and we'll never have to roll down that roller shutter door. Hallelujah, my sanity's saying, now that I've found my man cave. Yeah, it's paradise all right, every Thursday night. Greg instantly loved it, and he felt that it so actually captured the essence of the group. And from what little he could tell, it defined why they had such enduring friendships. Strangely enough though, he somehow thought he knew the writing also, and if he wasn't mistaken, it was that of Hugh Janus, which is this rock god that he worships and he constantly reflects on and seeks solace from his music. There was a universal also with regards to the beer fridge, and that was bring more beers than you drink. Simple as that. The straightforward rule that anyone could work out. Even still, there was one that got abused every now and then. Those repeat offenders, however, soon found their company wasn't required. Regardless of that, before Greg even realised, he was hooked, and the shed would soon become an essential part of his week. It wasn't that he was just a pisshead and a stoner either. Well, maybe it was a little. Okay, it was a lot of that too. More so, however, he really just craved the camaraderie and the opportunity to be amongst like-minded people that didn't take themselves too seriously. They just wanted to hang out and talk about cars and stuff in general. I'll leave it.
Thanks, Charles. We have one lucky last one, which is Jim, who's going to read some poetry.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and it's my first time here, and it's a real pleasure to be trotting some of my stuff out for the first time. First one is an autobiographical piece about my early childhood growing up next to the Shropshire Union Canal in northwest England. I was probably to write this after one of my sibling cousins died of cancer. So she's the girl sliding around the floor, ass down. It's called Our Roadside. Humble beginnings, cottages beside our roadside. 2 rooms up, 2 down, behind a languid, sinuous canal. An open fire, a dolly tub was our bath. The tiny mop-haired girl never crawled but slid, arse down, propelled by hands and later walked. Myra, mother's milk expressed with love before the fire. We grew along the thread of our canal, line across a verdant page. Punctuation, commas of stone, humpback bridges, occluded trees, a peaceful village hinted up beyond, until our umbilical was cut. Country island to a new estate, council houses, garages in the ditch. Country village schools to Oldfield Primary School. I remember you in fancy dress, as Alice through the looking glass. A sense of fun on birthdays, Melrose Avenue style. Myra, bossy as always, forever in charge. Big sister, mother always, ever in her nurse's uniform of blue. Surmounted with starch deficient, no-nonsense white. A push-bike frame of black leaned carelessly against the wall. Handlebars display their wicker basket, contained within a pannier of poultices and cures. One was the matriarch, a rod of iron, Auntie Lil to us, grandma to the others of the clan, gramophone, musical chairs, oranges and lemons, pass the parcel, singing innocence and fun. Going on to the Tasmanian, back to the Tasmanian theme. We went on a hike, around Dove Lake, around Cradle Mountain, and this thing just sprung into my head, and I thought I was going to lose all the words before I could get back, to write them down. So I had it stuck in my brain. It's called the Ballroom Forest. This place actually exists, around Dove Lake. You take me to a wild place, a place of verdant green, a beauty decked with streamers, a silent dance with nature, a place of cool stillness. Serenity touches me to my core. A love unrequited. I can but look. I can worship you between the feet of giant mountains and the shores of crystal lakes. I can never take you home, except in my heart and mind. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. So Jim is a regular with Poets of Watsonia and has just moved into the area. So welcome, Jim. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
So that's it for our readings tonight. Any announcements? We have our next half year of workshops and happenings here at Busybird up on our website now if anyone is interested in having a look. If anyone isn't on our mailing list, we actually have a little sheet up on the table there if you'd like to put your email address on there to receive our newsletter. In the newsletter we usually have lots of great information about writing and publishing, but also our workshops and book reviews and interviews with people who are writing books and things like that. So it's, I think, a worthwhile thing to receive. So thanks all for coming tonight, and hopefully we'll see you again next month. Please hang around, have some more wine or cup of tea or coffee, and have a chat with each other. Thank you.
Ah,